This is why Liz Truss's unpopularity is growing in the UK. Liz Truss is hated in the EU, hated in NATO, hated in Russia, and she's on her way to being hated in Britain. Her approval rating is currently lower than that of Boris Johnson when he left government, at just 18%, according to the latest opinion poll. Her father, John Truss, is a math professor at the University of Leeds, and her mother, Priscilla Mary, was a nurse, teacher, and prominent member of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament. She adopts the left-wing opposition ideology which strongly opposes the monarchy. She appeared in one of the videos criticizing the royal family and the king himself, which put her in great embarrassment when she became Prime Minister and sat in the presence of the royal family.
We Liberal Democrats believe in opportunity for all. We believe in fairness and common sense. We believe in referenda on major constitutional issues. We do not believe that people should be born to rule. And we were filmed asking members of the public what they thought about the monarchy. We came across a group of 3 people. I'd say they were around 50, 60. We asked them their opinion of the monarchy. Do you know what they said? They said, abolish them. We've had enough.
Some also consider her a bad omen for the royal family, as she was the last government official to greet the late Queen Elizabeth II, and shortly after the Queen passed away. According to the Washington Post, the newspaper revealed why she is unpopular everywhere, by saying that she is an opportunistic, ultra-contrarian woman. And their justification for this is that, despite her upbringing on left-wing ideas opposed to the government and Brexit, the masses were very optimistic about her taking the position of foreign minister, because she would be against Britain's exit from the European Union, and would support the idea of the European Union. But since taking office, she has drawn up a unilateral agreement and stressed the need for Britain to leave the European Union. The European Union considers her more dangerous than any other Prime Minister, because she calls for Britain's secession from the European Union, although her previous ideas were exactly the opposite, which is why the European Union hates her so much. As for the reason for being hated by Russia, it is because of the tone of hostility in her statements. In one of the television interviews on the BBC, the presenter asked her what she thought about the British soldiers who are fighting in Ukraine. She responded that she strongly supports it, and that every British man should join the Ukrainian army in fighting Russia, the enemy of democracy.
President Zelensky has asked for people from abroad to join an international force. Would you support that?
I do support that, and of course that is something that people can make their own decisions about. But they are fighting. The people of Ukraine are fighting for freedom and democracy, not just for Ukraine, but for the whole of Europe, because that is what President Putin is challenging. And absolutely, if people want to support that struggle, I would support them in doing that.
So you support people from Britain going over to Ukraine to help in the fight?
Absolutely, if that's what they want to do.
There is another scandal in the meeting of Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, with Liz Truss. Sergei was sitting with Liz in a closed meeting in February before the Russia-Ukraine war broke out. Liz tells Lavrov that she knows the movements of Russian forces, and threatens him that she will not stand by if Russia enters Ukraine. Sergei Lavrov replied that the Russian forces are now stationed in an area called Rostov and another area called Voronino. Liz replied disapprovingly that she would not recognize Russia's sovereignty over these 2 regions. The thing that Liz does not know is that these 2 regions belong to Russia originally, do not belong to the island of Crimea, and are located in the south of Russia. That is, they are purely Russian lands within the Russian borders. Sergei Lavrov looked at her and said, "You obviously know nothing about history or geography." When Liz mentioned this false information, the British ambassador immediately tried to correct the information, and told her that these were Russian areas, but the meeting was closed, so the news was not broadcast. But Russia leaked the contents of this meeting to mock the ignorance of the British foreign minister. Well, after all, the British people must love her because she is the elected Prime Minister of Britain. The truth is that she is also hated by the British people. At the start of the election, she was telling people what they wanted to hear, telling them that she would cut taxes and take all measures to help people pay for their energy bills, a bold statement that made all Britons happy.
I understand that people across our country are struggling with the cost of living and they're struggling with their energy bills. And that is why I, as Prime Minister, will take immediate action to help people with the cost of their energy bills. And I will be making an announcement to this House on that tomorrow.
But when she presented her plan to fulfill her promises, the plan was completely disastrous because it was based on debt and taking billions of dollars in loans.
Mr. Speaker, the interests of businesses are not separate from the interests of individuals and families. In fact, it is businesses that employ most people in this country. It is businesses that invest in the products and services we rely on. Every additional tax on business is ultimately passed through to families through higher prices, lower pay, or lower returns on savings. So I can therefore confirm that next year's planned increase in corporation tax will be cancelled.
When the World Bank heard of this, they were completely astonished, because Britain's foreign debt is around £2.7 trillion. This caused the value of the pound to fall against the dollar until it reached the $1.03 level, and thus investors fled to America and lost confidence in the pound. Here, the British Central Bank intervened and bought government bonds in huge quantities to stop the collapse of the currency, and raised the interest rate on government bonds to support the currency. But these and other measures led to inflation in the British economy, which terrified the population and drove them to protest. The British came to believe that this woman, Liz Truss, was a bad omen. When she entered the government, the Queen died, and the British economy was destroyed in just 3 weeks. In one of the interviews with the BBC, the presenter asked her if she had presented her plan to the deputies before discussing it in Parliament, and she replied in the negative.
Can I ask you, Prime Minister, did you discuss scrapping the top rate with your whole cabinet?
No. No, we didn't. It was a decision that the Chancellor made.
Do you think that that is the right way to go about developing what has become a very controversial policy? You say it doesn't cost that much money, but it's a big decision, isn't it? If you'd been in Boris Johnson's cabinet and he had announced something like that without asking you, how would you have felt?
We have committed, and I committed during the leadership campaign, to make our system more competitive, to lower our taxes and to simplify our taxes. And I think that's fundamentally important. And now
people are calling for her abolishment and to be removed from power.